Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's CUGC Connect webinar with ControlUp. Happy to have you here today. Before I get into all of the housekeeping and all the details, I just want to remind you about all of our upcoming CUGC local events. We've got lots of meetings on the calendar, and then obviously we're most excited about the CUGC XL coming up in Kansas City. ControlUp is going to be there, so come on out. You don't have to live in Kansas City. You don't have to be a Kansas City CUGC member. You can just be a member. So just come on out. All you got to do is get there, and we'll take care of the rest. All of the information can be found on the links on the screen, and I can throw those in the chat in just a little bit as well. All right, so we're going to talk about keeping all of your users happy, making sure that they have an amazing experience, and we're going to find out all about how to do that. And I know that you want to know, and you're going to have a lot of questions about it. So before we dive in, just a reminder that you can type all of those questions into the chat anytime. We've got a lot of ground to cover today, and I want you to type in your questions. And I think that Chris has agreed to be interrupted from time to time just so that he doesn't miss a question. Wants to make sure we get all your good questions answered. So type those in as you have them. Also, we are recording today's presentation, so you will receive a link to that tomorrow. It'll come in an email from GoToWebinar, so be on the lookout for that. And also, you'll have a link to a survey. We just like to get your feedback. It's anonymous, it's super fast, and it's for CUGC use only. All right, so as you can see, we have with us today Chris Rogers. He is a CTP. He is our DC Metro CUGC leader, and he's also a pre-sales engineer at ControlUp. Hi, Chris.
Hello. Good afternoon, everyone.
We also have Leee Jeffries. He is also a CTP and a frequent flyer as a moderator on my webinars. So welcome back, Leee, and thank you for being with us today.
Good evening.
All right, Chris, I'm going to send presenter controls over to you right now.
All right.
And
there we go.
Yep.
Cool. All right. Well, before we get started, and it'll make sense here in a moment. You know, I wore a specific shirt today. You know, that's that is the last mission that I was a part of. This is Light Sail 2, and showing my screen. This is a Falcon Heavy that is launching Light Sail 2. So those of you that may not have known that I am an actual rocket scientist, I'm an actual rocket scientist. So yeah, I'm actually sitting about 3 miles off in that direction, watching this Falcon Heavy launch the satellite that I helped design and qualify. So, yay! But now I do things and have for quite some time. I've been around the Citrix ecosystem for, I hate to admit it, close to 20 years at this point. Starting with Zen, moving into Citrix, moving into NetScaler, and now I do all things ControlUp. But I will start, and let me see if I can get rid of, because that's kind of in the way. Go away, GoToMeeting. There it goes. Okay, now I got to move that over there. All right, perfect. Now I can see my stuff. All right, so if I bring this screen up, I'm betting that most of you have seen this screen. Betting most of you have been to a Synergy, been to various places that you might have seen a ControlUp demo, and you have seen this screen. You have seen the lovely data flying back and forth. You know, we collect data in real time. We see 500 metrics at every 3 seconds, and it's a lot of data. It's overwhelming. And this, shall we say, is a little bit dated. Don't let Yoni hear me say that. So we're going to take a look at some new stuff. We're going to take a look at how ControlUp is really rooting itself in that idea of digital employee experience, and how we are enabling those work from home individuals as well as work from office. You know, our solutions work both ways, because how many times, Citrix people, you can raise your hand, have you heard Citrix is slow? Oh, really? What does that mean? Does your login slow down on you? Is it disconnecting? Is your mouse not responding? What does that mean? Because users are oh so helpful when it comes to that, and they say things that are very, very leading like that, and you, the IT administrator, have no idea where to start. So we're number one, first and foremost, we ControlUp are going to give you a place to start. We're also going to help you deliver that better employee experience to those remote workers and make sure that problems they see may not be your fault, and we're going to find that out, but also they don't recur. So we're going to help you fix those problems. We're going to help you get rid of all those headaches. So I'm going to get rid of this interface because you've all seen that. And I'm going to bring up this interface because you may not have seen this. This is Solve. This is our HTML5 interface. This is exactly the same data that we had been working with before. You're looking at our live demo environment. This is myself and my colleagues working on this environment, performing demos, doing whatever we're doing at the moment. And you never quite know what you're going to get. Live demos being a thing. I will occasionally catch my coworkers doing things that they shouldn't be. So we'll see what we find today. But looking down through there, it is, at least in my opinion, it's a little more intuitive than the older interface. It's much more visual. The visualizations of the data are right here in front of you. These can all be customized. These can be, just like the old interface, you can, need a drink, excuse me. Just like the old interface, you can order the columns in any way you want. You can change the different columns and the different metrics into, whoops, columns. There we are. You can add different metrics in. We'll talk a little bit about AWS. We'll talk a little bit about Azure. Ooh, look at that. And we'll see some of those metrics that we can get from those cloud services. Maybe your desktops are hosted in those services. Perfectly fine, perfectly acceptable. We support both. So, and yeah, it is a little annoying that I can't see. So, okay, so Lee, you're definitely gonna have to help me out here because I can't see both my screen and the chat. So if we have questions, feel free to interrupt. I love questions, I love interaction. It makes me think that you're actually listening, and I'm not necessarily talking to dead air, and this, like, no one likes that. So, all right, so if we have a look at kind of the old way, you might have seen this demo where I can have a look at a machine and I can see that it has a stress level. It has a critical stress level. What is contributing to that stress level in there? In this case, this particular machine, it looks like it's paging quite a bit. It moved around. I'll move into a different one here. This one right here has a high disk queue. I wonder what's causing that. It's almost like we have a demo that's made specifically to showcase that. And if I were to click right here, I would see something that's oh, here, look here. Here's a guy that's using way too much disk and is causing problems for everyone else. What are we going to do about this? We're going to call him up and hit the back of his hand and say, don't do that. But maybe the person's not available. Maybe they're not around. Maybe they kicked off a job and went home. So we might need to kill the process and see what's going on. We can need drilled further down all the way to the process level. So thanks to our agent running on those virtual machines, we can get all the way down to the process level, and we can have a look at what that process is doing, and we can even kill it if we need to. Now, one thing I will note in the Solve interface, remember it's an HTML5 interface, it is cloud hosted. The same things that we had in this old interface, where I could take this thing right here and I could go down to the process level and I could do various things like that. If I looked at the processes, come on over, look at the processes, there we go. And I could search for the one. Oh, there's that one. And if I really wanted to kill this one, I could come down to the processes and I could kill it right here, and that's fine. That's in this old .NET 4.5 interface. But if I go back to my HTML5 interface, I do not yet have that capability because our HTML5 interface for the moment is read only. We will be rolling out over the course of this year in 3 phases. We'll be rolling out the ability to do exactly the same sorts of things that you're used to doing in the old interface in terms of automated actions, process control, things like that. But we are being very, very careful with our security due diligence that we don't expose our customers to potential vulnerabilities. Remember, this is a cloud-based HTML5 application. So we want to make very, very sure that we don't expose, some processes and things like that we shouldn't expose for our customers. So yeah, we're functionality is currently working. It's working. Our developers have it going, but we are being very careful with the rollout of that based on security concerns. So look for that functionality in the future, and you will see that that happen. So now, and as I said, feel free to ask any questions as we go along. Lee, feel free to interrupt, and we can address anything that anyone has along the way.
Nothing nice like that, Chris.
Okay, good. All right, so let's go back up here and let's have a quick look. I'm going to click on subscriptions right here, and what's going to come up is our Azure subscription. I'm going to get a total monthly cost, compute cost, storage cost, network cost, things like that. I'm going to be able to look at our Azure resource group, and I'm going to be able to focus on it and get down into the individual machines. I have 12 Azure machines. Okay, let's look down into those Azure machines in the folder view, and here's the machines right here. And here's all of my machines and what they're doing in Azure. So what's the VM size? What's the total disk size? What is the cost? Here we go. Where is it over here? There it goes. What is the cost of this subscription? Broken down into those individual machines to see what is going on. And let's say you don't necessarily want to be surprised by that bill at the end of the month from Microsoft. Okay, who's had that happen? So we can help you keep track of that. Once again, in that same simple interface that we give all of the other metrics and all of the other data, we are giving that Azure API information in exactly the same way. And we're going to expand that. Lots of people are using AVD. Lots of people are starting into that solution. And we are, excuse me, we are working very closely with Microsoft on those solutions to help monitor those AVD machines and bring that same level of visibility into those solutions. All right. So let me click back up here and let's have a look at something else here. So go on back up here. Let's get out of the subscriptions. I'll just go back to the dashboard. It's easier. And we'll go back to our virtual machines and we will look at our user sessions on there. And I will scroll over and I will note this little area right here that says client device score. Okay, what does that mean? So client device, what client are you logging into your system from? In my case, I am sitting on my home PC. I have 3 screens in front of me. I have a lot of screen real estate and I like to think it makes me much more productive, but we'll ignore that screen over there because that's where like Discord and all the other comms are over there, which could be distracting, mind you. But we can have a look and see what people are running right here. You see the programs running through, but we have a couple of people having a problem. We'll come back to them in a minute. I'll go ahead and pick on myself here. Fine, there I am right there. And I will mouse over that and we'll have a look at my network. And yes, this is my network. This is looking into me. This is my router. This is my PC. This is everything that is about my network. So once again, you have a user at home that calls up and says, Citrix is slow. Okay, what does that actually mean? Did the person take a vacation and they're now sitting in the middle of Yellowstone Park on a satellite connection? Okay, that might cause some issues. Or are they sitting at home? And we can start to characterize that data and see what's going on. So picking on myself here for a moment, I don't have a Wi-Fi signal, I'm hardwired. I have 0 milliseconds worth of LAN latency. I'd like to think I know what I'm doing on my own network. 7 milliseconds from me to the internet, quote unquote, the internet. We ping Google 8.8.8.8. I live in Northern Virginia. I'm basically sitting right on top of this data center. Yeah, I should have a pretty good ping. I'm one piece of fiber away, so all good. But then my end-to-end latency from me in Northern Virginia to our Miami data center, 31 milliseconds, that's pretty normal as well. I'm having a great experience. Good digital employee experience, no complaints here. Everything's working as it should. Cool. Okay, let's pick on someone that might be calling up the help desk and saying, it's slow, I can't work, it's disconnecting, what's going on? And the very first thing that we're going to notice, well, you're on a Mac. Okay, all right, we won't judge. You're on a Mac, that's fine. But this person has a 56% Wi-Fi signal. Okay, I realize it's a nice day, work from anywhere. You're out on your deck, you're enjoying your coffee, whatever's going on, but you've only got a 56% Wi-Fi signal. That might be causing an issue. Maybe you want to move off your deck and go back to your office where you're closer to your Wi-Fi router, where you have a better signal, where you can work more consistently. Okay, so that's one problem that we see right here. Another problem, 206 milliseconds worth of local LAN latency. What are you kids doing on YouTube right now? There's someone on your network that's contending for that network bandwidth, and that's causing some latency. Maybe just a suggestion here, maybe watching Netflix while you're working from home is not a good idea. Probably want to turn that off. That may be causing some issues as well. But you also, here's 206 milliseconds here, which is then leading to that 239 milliseconds worth of ping to the internet and 316 end to end. So again, here's your problem right here. Sometimes you might see some internet latency up here, in which case call up your provider. They might be having an issue. But once again, the good thing here is you as an IT administrator now have the information. When that user calls up and says Citrix is slow, you have the information to say, no, it's not. Your Wi-Fi, LAN, internet provider is slow, and it's not us. But by the way, we're not going to troubleshoot your home network for you because it's not our equipment. But here's some helpful suggestions as to how to fix your own problem. So it's, as that IT administrator, it is going to remove the onus of support from you, and it's going to put it right back onto the user. Now, again, do you still have an unhappy and an unproductive user? The answer may well be yes, because sometimes those conversations can get quite hostile. But at the same time, you then have the information in your possession that you can either say to the employee, here's what we see and what the problem is. And if you really need to copy the employee's manager on that, you have that ammunition. So this
Chris,
comes back. Go ahead.
We have a few questions.
Go for it.
Do you want to quickly take a couple of minutes just to run through those?
Go right ahead. Go right ahead.
Okay. So, is there an additional cost for Solve for a customer that already has ControlUp 8.6 and standalone Scout Bees?
And standalone Scout Bees. I would have to look at the license. It depends on how that was sold. If you have Scout Bees, you might have an ultimate license. If you have an ultimate license, yes, this Solve is included. If there are several other ways that it could be included, but we would have to look specifically at the license that you have to see what it is. A platinum license is not included per se, but it can be included as an uplift to the platinum license as an add-on. So it depends on which license you have.
Okay, cool. Thank you. And then we have to capture the Wi-Fi traffic or the Wi-Fi information. Is a plugin needed on the user's PC?
I was hoping someone would. If we were at a Synergy right now, and if Yoni was standing right next to me, that person would get a tequila shot right now, because that was one of the softballs where I was hoping someone was going to ask that question. So there you go. Yes, we do use the existing Citrix workspace app or receiver, the data channels. We use those data channels, but a plugin is required to enable the specific information that we have on there. And we have lots of conversations with customers that say, oh, well, you know, the user's not going to install something on their own machine. And we say, but they already have. They have installed the Workspace app on their machine, and that is how they're connecting to Citrix. That is 90% of the solution right there, because those data channels are already open. So all we need is our what's called the Remote DX plugin to be able to plug into the existing Citrix Workspace app and then enable this information that you see here. So it is intended for BYO users. The information that we gather is very innocuous, very non-intrusive. We are only getting hardware and network information. That is all. We're not going to get down to the process level. As I'm fond of saying, I don't necessarily need my coworkers watching me play video games at night. You know, if they particularly want to watch me build things in Factorio, then cool. But you know, if I'm logged off of my Citrix machine, this information goes away and is no longer available to the end system. So it is only available when connected.
Okay, cool. Is the average logon duration value in ControlUp and Director the same?
No, no, it is not. They are two different beasts. I'm going to hold on to that one, and we'll get into a little bit of login duration in a few minutes. But no, those are two different beasts, and I'll explain that. All right.
Cool. And we had one more. Oh, hang on, it's looping around for me. All right, there we go. Is it possible to monitor Wi-Fi performance on the remote device only with CU 8.6 no solve?
Yes, yes. So Remote DX came in with 8.5. So as long as you're 8.5 or higher, you have this. And as long as you have the Remote DX DLL installed on that client machine, you're good to go. If you don't have Solve, as I said, has the nice pretty pictures. It has, you know, this is the screenshot that you want to take right here and send to the person and their manager because it's easy to understand. That said, we can go back to the regular interface. We can get rid of that. We can go back to the sessions. We can change the column presets to Remote DX right here. And we can see that exact same information in the classic console, where I can look at Wi-Fi signal, LAN latency, session latency, internet latency, and so forth. So I can see all of that information in exactly the same way that you're used to seeing it in the .NET console.
Okay, one last one, and then I think I'll let you just crack on.
Sure.
So client device score shows none for me. Is it because the agent might be missing on the client machines?
So we have had some issues where yes, the client, you're either not licensed for Remote DX, you either don't have the DLL installed in the particular on the particular client, or sometimes we have run afoul of security software where Symantec, sorry, did I say that out loud? I think I said that out loud. Sorry. Where some certain bits of host-based security don't like what we do. They don't like the fact that we're going out, we're probing some hardware, we're pushing some information up a data channel. Yeah, exceptions will need to be made for those bits of software in the case in case you have something like that on your machine that is looking for security violations. So.
Thanks, Chris.
All right, sure thing. So you know what? We had that login duration question. So let's have a look. So let's go back to sessions. We'll go back to my default view here, and let's have a quick look at our login duration. So I actually happen to have the columns sorted by login duration, and you see most of us are having a good day. You know, we're doing sub 30-second logins. We're fine. We have a couple of people that are not doing so well. You know, 180, 150, 130 seconds worth of login. And we can actually scroll over here a little bit and we can break some of that apart. We can see right here in the console, we can see profile load time, group policy load time, desktop load time, login duration, other. That's a slippery slope. I'll get into that one. We're including more things. We're breaking things out of other as we work around some of the Windows limitations as to what this actually means. I'll get into that. But we can see all of this right here in the console in terms of the phases, but we also have this handy dandy script action that you may have heard of. Trenton did a very long blog article on it. Where is that? Where's my script actions? Oh, actually here, let's just click here and the virtual expert will just pop up and I'll say, hey, you have a long login duration. Maybe you want to analyze that. And so the defaults pop up perfectly fine. And I'll go ahead and pop, no, I don't want to do that, go away. And I will pop up this, which I ran yesterday, which is perfectly sufficient. It takes it 30 to 60 seconds to run. You'll see this finish down here as we're talking, and it's however long it takes it to run today. But we want to thank, I will give credit where credit is due, because we have done a great deal of our own internal scripting, but there are 350 community scripts, open source PowerShell scripts that extend the product and you are free to use. So if we look at the login duration script, where is that? Oh, where is that? Oh, of course it is. Analyze. There we go. Analyze login duration. Here we go. So we are going to thank our good friend Guy Leach, for fellow CTP, for originally making the script. But because it's open source, we've done a fair bit to it, and he's done a fair bit to it. So it has evolved over time in terms of the usefulness of this login duration script. So again, giving credit where credit is due to our community members. That's where the original idea for the analyze login duration script came from. So thank you very much, Guy. But back to our results here, 51 seconds to run today, so not too bad. There's no magic here. I say this quite a bit. What ControlUp does is we take all of the information that's already there. We take perfmon information. We take API information from the hypervisor, from the EUC system. We take information from the event logs. Everything that already exists, so much information in so many different systems, and we grab all of that information and we aggregate it into that one console, such that all of the information that you need that gives you that complete picture of that digital employee experience, we're going to be able to have and present to you to be able to make those more efficient decisions on what you need to do to improve your employees' experiences. So let's have a look here at what we found. So we can see here the source and the phase of all the login information. So it's 182 seconds and all the different phases of our logins, and to see what happens. So we have some RSOP that's going on. We have the Windows user profile that's loaded. We have FS Logics that's loading. We have Windows AppX that's loading, which of course everyone knows what AppX is. It's all of this garbage right here that you may or may not need. It's Cortana, it's the Microsoft Shop, it's whatever else you have. It's the Xbox game bar. Really, Microsoft? Do you have to reinstall that with every single update? Come on. Yeah, if I took it out there, I must not want it anymore. So don't put it back. Microsoft. Anyway, so AppX file extensions, that's their own beast. But let's have a look here. We'll grab a piece of low-hanging fruit and we will look at group policy, which took 85.9 out of those 182 seconds. That's significant. Let's scroll down here and we're going to break apart our group policy and we're going to have a look at what was going on. So if you notice right here, I have group policy drive maps that took 36.6 seconds, but it was in 2 GPOs. So right there, and again, broken apart down here a little differently, I can see these 2 GPOs right here that took 36 seconds each to run. This one here took 44. So these 2 times 36, there's 72 of our seconds. And yes, this doesn't add up to 85, they're asynchronous. But once again, I can look at this and I can say, aha, I can look into these 2 GPOs and I can look at the group policy drive maps and I can see what this user is trying to map Do they have permission to map the drive? Is the drive too busy? Is the network not available? It gives me the place to look for what is causing those slow logins. Now, circling back around to that previous question, are the logins in Director the same as the login duration we find here? And the answer is no, because we are looking at the total login time. Director looks at Director looks at a subset of that. Basically, what does Citrix have control over? Does it have control over group policy? Yes and no. It's going to look at that. Does it have control over the desktop startup? Partially. So it's going to look at things like that. But once again, we're getting our information directly from the event viewer, and we are querying the event log for every major event that relates to the login process. And as I said before, we're even expanding the script. We very recently added the WMI executions and the AppX characterizations to the script. So you can see exactly what's going on with those different phases. I'm sorry, but Director doesn't do that. But it comes down to what we're able to pull out of those logs. There's going to be other things that are coming very soon into here. And I'll give you a preview of some of the things here soon enough. But once again, whatever information we have and are able to pull out of the logs or perfmon or anything else like that, we're going to be able to pull and we're going to be able to display. So I would like to say, and apologies to Citrix here, that our login analysis is a little more complete than theirs. It's just reality. So hopefully that answers that question. All right. So I'm going to go back over to Solve. And once again, if there's any questions, feel free to type them in. Feel free to let me know. But one of the things I want to look at, I'm here at the user sessions, and I am going to click on myself as soon as I find myself here. Oh, you know what? Let's pick on Rich. Everybody likes Rich. So if you don't know, by the way, and again, I'll give credit to my colleagues, if you don't know Richard Parnell, former Citrite, was responsible for almost every demo you ever saw. He was the guy that put those together. Rich lives in Australia, so we can, if he's online right now, it doesn't look like he's online, but Rich is one of those people that we pick on when we look at that, when we look at the characterization of his home network. He's got a great home network, it's fine, but he's also got 200 milliseconds worth of latency because Rich is in Sydney. So it's a good example of managing expectations, where if you have a user that is calling up and saying they're having a poor experience, then that user has to understand where they're at and what is a reasonable experience. So Rich fully understands that he's going to have a little bit of a degraded experience because he's coming from halfway around the world to log into those virtual machines. Yeah, well, we may well spin something up in Australia for Rich sooner or later, but for right now, that's the way it goes. But I want you to remember this screen right here, because again, this is this characterization of a user. And this screen is going to vastly change over the course of the next year, course of this year, really. Where we are going to be concentrating much more heavily on that digital employee experience, and we're going to be looking at so many things as far as the user is concerned. Not only their VDA, their Citrix experience, their session, the hypervisor. We're going to pull a lot more charts and graphs in as far as what's going on. We're going to be able to look at the endpoint, whether it's BYO using Remote DX or corporate owned using Edge DX. And I'll talk a little bit about Edge in a minute. But as far as what we're going to be able to see, you're going to get a really detailed characterization of this user and what their experience actually looks like, both from the black and white, very objective numbers and statistics and metrics standpoint that we currently give, but also from a more subjective user sentiment standpoint. We're going to be able to start collecting that user sentiment, and there'll just be a little pop-up down at the bottom. It'll be the little smiley faces, the green one through the red one. And it'll just ask the user, how is your experience? at which point we start to get that extra data point in there in terms of how are your users feeling? Is their experience good? Is it not good? Why is it not good? When they click the button, what was going on to make them think it was not good? And we're going to start correlating all of that data such that, once again, you, the IT administrator, then have all the information at your fingertips to be able to see what's going on, not only from the black and white number standpoint, but also from the subjective user sentiment standpoint in your system. So that's we're working on that right now. Looking forward to getting that out there. That is due to be out by the end of the year. So as I said, make sure you keep an eye whenever you see a demo or anything else like that. Ask a question about user sentiment, about the user characterization, because this screen will vastly change over the course of this year, and you'll see a whole lot more information. And this is where you'll see it on the digital employee experience. Very good. All right, so I'm gonna go back up to our dashboard, and I had mentioned about Edge. Oh, actually, one other thing before I get into Edge. Once again, those of you that are familiar with ControlUp, you're familiar with the fact that not only do we have real-time data, we do have historical data as well. Because it's two sides of the same coin. You need the real-time picture to see what's going on right now, but you also need the historical picture, because invariably you're going to have users call up and say, hey, I had a problem last week, and I don't know what happened. So of course, your first reaction is, well, why didn't you call last week? Oh, it wasn't that important. It was okay. But, I just thought I'd let you know. Well, okay, fine. So we can go back in history and we can look at those users. We can look at their information, and we can see what was going on with their sessions. So if you're familiar with Insights, if you're familiar with the fact that it logged me off, that's fine. We can just click right back up here. We can get right back into Insights. If you're familiar with the historical analysis that we do, once again, this is a more classical interface. This is one that's been around forever and a day. If you've used the software, you know it, you love it, hopefully. But we are slowly but surely pulling these insights into Solve. Same idea that you had before. You can set date ranges or custom ranges if you want to. You can look at session activity, machine trends, and machine statistics, and we're going to be adding much more information into this. This is where you're going to find that historical information. It is all going to be in this one interface. So this HTML5 interface is where we are concentrating our development. We're getting a lot of good feedback from customers. We're incorporating that feedback, and we are making, hopefully, if you want to call it the Gen 2 ControlUp interface, this is it. But we are investing heavily into Solve and into all of the functionality there. So, but now if we go ahead and we will hop over to Edge, and I will pause for a moment, I will take a drink, and I will let anyone type a question on anything we've covered so far. And if I don't hear anything, I'm going to keep going.
Nothing so far, Chris. No, okay. There was a couple that were asked whilst you were running through it, and I answered those ones.
Okay, good.
One about the logon duration stats, and if you add all the numbers up, does it equal the whole logon duration? And my answer was, yeah, it does.
Not
and
always.
then do you need agents on the end user devices? And I said no, not for the logon duration.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, the agents happen on the VDIs themselves, and the end user devices. As I said, the agent that's on the end user devices is the workspace app that's already there. So the only thing to install past that is that little DLL plugin that gives the network information. Yeah, login duration is not always adding up. So if you actually were to look at, oh, come on, get over here. There we go. If you were to actually look at these numbers and add all of these numbers up, they would not add up to exactly that number, because some of the login things are asynchronous. They're concurrent. Some things happen at the same time, other things happen. So the number that happens right there, we take it as a real-time number. We look at the start time and the end time of each phase, and then we look at the start time and the end time of the total logins. that's where we get the numbers from. So we just, you know, do a quick difference of those numbers. If you were to add these numbers up, it would not come up to this, excuse me, it would not come up to the same number there, simply because of the asynchronous or the concurrent nature of the login process. All right. So let's talk about Edge then. Now, EdgeDX is a relatively new addition to our product portfolio. It's actually an acquisition. It used to be called Avicii. We call them the Johns, John Rolls and John Wallace, former Citrites, really amazing programmers, great folks to have on board with us. They take agile development to a whole new level. Because this is a cloud platform you're looking at, every 2 weeks, and I mean every 2 weeks, there are new features in this platform. It's honestly fun to demo because you know, here comes that Monday. I'm doing my first demo of a Monday, and here's something brand new in Edge that I haven't seen. It's like, oh, hey, we get to look at something new. In terms of development on this product, we are really on a tear as far as getting new features into this product. So what does it do? This looks at physical machines. So we had, for the longest time, worked on virtual machines, virtual desktop infrastructure, things like that. But there is this, and I was about to use the word subset, but it's not a subset. It is a majority based on marketing data, based on statistical data. The majority of workers, at-home workers, are still on a laptop and a VPN, which surprised me, honestly. It's like, wait, what? You're not using VDI, Citrix, VMware, whatever? You know, use something. Okay, sure, you're not using VDI. Why are you not using VDI? Well, because we don't need to. This is a solution we had in place. It works perfectly fine for us. Any of a number of answers we get to that question, but it became readily obvious to us that we need to be able to support these users as well, because these users, also working from home or wherever they happen to be, have exactly the same problems. In this case, you know, unfortunately or otherwise, they can't blame Citrix because Citrix isn't in the mix. So what are they going to blame? Are they going to blame the VPN? Are they going to blame their PC or anything else like this? So what we do, this is, you know, I'll anticipate the question. This is a thick client that does get installed on this machine, but usually these are corporate machines. These are company-owned assets, such that we can then install this piece of software on this machine and be perfectly fine with it, because we all see that we have, you know, whatever machine we're using, the little acceptable use policy pops up and says, this is a corporate machine owned by X company. There is, you know, we are scanning it for security. We're monitoring it. No personal software goes on here. No assumption of privacy should be made, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You know, whatever your AUP says, it should say something like that. So this piece of software falls very nicely into that AUP, because we are going to monitor everything that goes on that machine. So let me give you an example here. I'll click on this. I'll click, you know, and I'll pick on Trenton here today, and we'll click on his Windows 8 machine. And you can chuckle to yourself just fine. Yes, Trenton still has a Windows 8 machine. It's just for testing. It's okay. But I can get a location on this machine, and you're going to look at that and go, wait a minute, and I'm going to scroll out and I'm going to look. Oh yeah, okay, so you know, Trenton lives in Alberta. This is not where Trenton lives. We munge the location a little bit, but yeah, you can get you know, so for right now it looks like he's in the middle of a ballpark, you know, which, hey, he's working from anywhere, right? Trenton's watching his kid play baseball, right? He's really not. But you know, we'll say he is. But he's working from anywhere. Okay, so what's he doing? You know, we can look at the general hardware information, network information, what wireless LAN is he on, memory, CPU. We can look at that Wi-Fi signal. We see he had a little cutout of the Wi-Fi signal there at one point today. We can look at not only CPU usage, but we can look at context switches. And we can notice like right here, for example, where he was okay, and then, you know, presumably this morning around 8 a.m. or so, he started using the machine. And this is then one of those things that a lot of IT administrators will overlook, especially on a physical desktop, where how much does the user actually have open? Do they have Outlook? Do they have Word? Do they have Excel? Do they have Chrome running? How many Chrome tabs do they have running? Various things like that. Because your CPU might not be heavily utilized, but context switches are one of those things that come in to be, you know, detrimental to a CPU, because if you are trying to switch between too many applications, you're going to bog down your system in a heartbeat. And, you know, that does look to be what happened right here, because that's a lot of context switches right there. You know, something under about, you know, 20, 30, 50 is probably normal. But yeah, he capped up almost 200 at that point. So again, we could look in there, we could see what he was doing. But that's honestly a little too much in the weeds for what I want to show. But I can get everything about this machine. It checks in on a regular basis, about every 30 seconds or so. It's going to check in. As long as you're connected to the internet, as long as port 443 is available to our Azure tenant, then you're going to be able to get this information. Even if you're not able to get the information, it will cache for up to 24 hours and then upload the information when it's reconnected. So we can look as far down as active processes once again, see what he's running. You know, he's got an awful lot of Edge going right now. So I don't see any Chrome, but he's got an awful lot of Edge. And he's using VMware. Oh, I got to talk to him about that. We can see the installed applications. Oh, okay, he does have Workspace installed. That's fine. Okay, we'll let him go. How's his patching do? Okay, he's missing a couple of KBs for his patches. All right, we need to get him patched up. We can look at the event viewer if we want to. This is kind of a metadata view of the event viewer. It's not going to give you every single one. It's going to aggregate it. It's going to say, hey, you know, I saw 27 of these particular things. You know, he's using BitLocker, for example, and I'm going to see those entries pop up. Any stop processes? Yeah, he's got a couple of stop processes. Oh, he's got a whole bunch. Trenton being the heavy duty programmer that he is, you know, we're running PowerShell, we're running traceroute, we're running all kinds of stuff. So, okay, so we can see what's going on. Services and so forth. Oh, no, not seeing services. Oh, it didn't like that. Okay, whatever, that's fine. We'll come back and we'll have a look at top apps here, and we can get a characterization of what's the top CPU consumer and the top memory consumer on this. So, okay, well, here is Citrix Workspace. There you go. But you know, again, Trenton's a hardcore programmer. He's using PowerShell, and that's what he's doing on that machine. So general idea that you get here is that we can get an awful lot of information off of those physical endpoints. To be able to see what's going on when the user calls up and says it's slow. You can take a look at right here in these top apps in CPU and, oh, look here. Well, it's not in there, but let's just say hypothetical. Look here, you're running Netflix. Don't do that. You know, at iTunes, really? Okay, yeah, there's your problem. Don't be doing that. So you can instantly come down and you can see what the user's running, what's consuming the resources, and why they're having a bad experience. So we're extending that digital employee experience down onto those physical desktops, physical laptops that honestly evaporated out the door of the office when we all evaporated out the door of the office, and now they're just out in the wild doing whatever. So in addition to this, we can run some remote actions, PowerShell again. We can do remote assistance if needed be to get in there. I won't interrupt whatever he's doing by going and doing that. That's kind of mean. I could disconnect, and I could also mean not going to do that. Nope, not going to do it. We like Trent. All right. And in addition, we have historical reports that you can run. You can get some of the information on there. You can get its location history. You can check, you can characterize the logins and sessions and so forth. And you can do custom reports as well. If you come into the reports and you find the data that you want to, you can customize. You can save those reports that you can come back to them and see what's going on. So that is Edge. All right. One more thing we'll take a look at, and once again, I'll pause, I'll take a drink. If anyone has any questions on any of that, happy to answer. But then we have one more thing to take a look at. All right.
So Chris, we have a few different questions, which are sort
sure.
of dotted about a bit, so we might have to jump around. But we have, can you talk about the UX score and the factors affecting that?
Yes. Okay. I might want to come back to that, but go on with the next question.
Okay, right. Capacity recommendations in the console. They're not necessarily accurate because the machines aren't used on the weekends. Is there any solution for this problem?
I missed the first part of that question. So the machines aren't used on the weekends. Why? What was the reason?
So I think it's the capacity recommendations.
Right. Okay, yeah. That's an excellent question. Capacity recommendation. So what that person presumably is talking about is this screen right here, where Insights gives capacity recommendations. But if the machines aren't being used on the weekends, it does keep, like, let's say, for example, I'll come down here to, where's my computer trends? And I can look at, let's say, for example, let's look at our, let's select by folder. And this is just not cooperating. Oh, here it is. Okay, we're going to select by folder. We're going to go under VDI and SBC. We're going to look under Citrix, and we are going to go to our PVS machines, for example. There we go. All right, so once again, I can look at my PVS machines over the past 24 hours. I can look at them over the past week, and you are quite correct that I can see, let's look over the past month, for example. Let's see if we can see a little bit better pattern here. Now, a lot of us here at ControlUp have do the same thing that I do, where we just leave ourselves logged in. So you don't necessarily see a whole lot of change from day to day or over weekends. So we don't really get that pattern in our usage, but I can definitely see where you would have a pattern in a much larger organization with, thousands of individuals, where you would see weekend information versus weekday information, and so on and so forth. You can characterize the reports by doing custom date ranges. So if you wanted to cut out weekends and just go week to week to week to week, you can totally cut those out and get that information. Now, specifically the sizing recommendations, entire organization, I don't think you can change the dates on that, because it looks at the last month by default. More details, yeah. So it would include the weekends. That is an interesting use case. Again, that is going to be something I'm going to have to go to a product manager and say, hey, I got this really good question from a CUGC person, and I'm going to have to see what they say about that, because it is a good question. All right.
Okay. So do you have a demo of what we can see from iGel clients?
iGel, yes, indeed. I will also come back to that. So I have UX to go back to and iGel to go back to.
I'll leave the questions unanswered, Chris. Just give me a prompt when you're ready, and I'll remind you. So, Are there any good blog articles or blogs or articles on the difference between login duration metrics between ControlUp Scout Fees and Director? Basically, the question is saying that Director is quite inaccurate. Sometimes it raises an alert when actually it's an average, but all logons are good.
I happen to have, and I highly recommend, so if you search on ControlUp Blog, and we go over here, that is not where I wanted to go. So go to the blog, that's where I wanted to go. And you could read the one that I wrote if you wanted. I wrote a couple of them. I keep meaning to write more. But if we go down here, where is that? So this is a very recent one by Rory. Solve the top 10 Citrix errors. Highly recommend you read that one. But where is that? Analyze login duration. So Melissa posted this one, and within this one right here, I believe there's a link. Yes. So there is a link to a webinar that Joel and Trent did on analyze login duration, and they get so deep into the weeds about it. in terms of how the scripts work, what information they pull, and even though Melissa even says right here, you know, it has the YouTube link right here as well. Melissa even says that it was so well attended and there were so many questions. They had to write this extra blog article on all the extra questions they had. So yeah, we have a lot of resources out there about login duration and how we handle it. Specific to Scout Bees, I'm not sure we have one for that, but Scout Bees is a little is more that proactive monitoring. And I was about to talk about Scout Bees anyway. Scout Bees is that more proactive monitoring, whereas if you want the deep dive into login duration, it's the script and this blog article that's going to help you out there. All right. Okay. Anything else, Lee?
Sorry, Chris, I was chatting away on mute there. Is the environment assessment tab only available for cloud-based Insight?
Yes. I mean, yeah. So yeah, under Insights, that's where the environment assessment is, which let's see if it behaves itself today. It's not. It's fine. But yeah, so yeah, you have to have insights, you have to have data retention to be able to get the environment assessment and the sizing recommendations. So if that, I think that answers the question.
It does indeed. Is there an industry average for Citrix logon duration?
The general accepted, and Lee helped me out here, the number that I always went by was sub 30 seconds. If you're under 30 seconds, you're doing great.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah. Some organizations it's not an issue, right? They don't mind if it's sub 30 seconds. But some organizations are very specific about login time and they want something very snappy.
They are, in fact. Yep. I've had some customers that say, oh, no, we need to have them lower than 15 seconds. Like, okay, good luck with that. So, all right. Unless, are there any other questions there? Otherwise, I'll go back to the UX thing.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, cool. All right, so let me go back to, so what we used to be able to do, again, I'm in the old interface, I'm looking at my sessions, I have a stress level on an individual user, and I can click on this little meatball menu right here and I can see what's going on, what's contributing to that user level stress, or the UX, and I can do the same thing on the UX score over here, where I can see, you know, what's going on, which it's very helpfully not doing anything right there. Okay. But Solve makes that a lot easier. So if I come back over to Solve right here, and we are coming very close to the end of time, so we'll do this real quick. Come on, Solve. Come on, don't leave me hanging, really, seriously. Reload that. It might have expired my session. It totally expired my session. That's fine, we can fix that. We can go back over here, single sign-on, and we can go back over here, and then it should work. Cross your fingers. Maybe. This is where I scream and curse loudly at developers because, you know, what are you doing to our system while I'm trying to show it? Yeah, okay, Solve is having some issues right now. Fair. All right. So if I were able to, I would be able to go over to the user. You can just pretend right here. You know, I'll draw the picture. You know, there's like the user line right here, and then mouse over right here, and I would have a little pop-up that would show me the UX score and what's contributing to the UX score. So is it, most times you'll find, is it a slow login that's contributing to that bad UX score? Could it be high latency? Could it be high user input? So, I mean, we can go back here. One of the things that we take a look at is this user input delay right here, which is actually a statistic that we get directly off of the Citrix EUC system. And we can see, where am I in here? Yeah, here I am. So you can see that no one else is really actively using the system, but I am. And so you can see me bouncing back and forth as it's getting data when I'm moving my mouse and clicking around and doing whatever. I'm getting data on how responsive that system is. So that's another contributor right there to that UX score in terms of that user input delay. We have someone up here that has, a fair bit of latency going on. Yep, that's Trenton again. So that's going to contribute to a poor UX score. So, right.
Cool.
So
we have
we'll
a few
answer.
more questions as well.
Okay, we're coming
Can ControlUp Monitor
close to the end, but yeah, let's go for it.
Oh, sorry, Chris, were you still going?
Yeah, no, we can. I mean, if Stephanie's okay with it, I can hang out for a bit.
It sounds good, as long as if you have time, I think that's fine. Take some more questions, and we'll always send you the recording if you have to break off, so no worries there. So yeah, go for it.
Okay, let's go.
Okay. Can ControlUp monitor NetScaler VPN user sessions and performance?
Yes. We interface directly with the NetScaler Nitro API and get the very same information that allows us to give. So I have my HDX sessions that are right here listed out. I can get the information, the basic information that you get off of the NetScaler dashboard is right there. I can look at the load balancers. I can look at the gateway. I can look at the gateways, and I can see what they're doing. And oh, well, see, there you go. That's something good to look at right there. Days until certificate expires, 8 days. Got to get on that. That's important. So yeah, that's that would cause our NetScalers to stop working. So yeah, we definitely need to make sure that we get that updated. But again, gives you that sort of idea of, hey, maybe I want to put an alert on that and set a trigger to send an email of, hey, you've got only a couple days to get your certificate updated. So we get the same information from Nitro, as I said. It is mostly read-only though, and that is strictly for security reasons. We don't want to expose too much, given what a NetScaler does and how it does it. We really don't want to expose too much in terms of that read-write capability. We'll do certain things, like say, for example, I can look here, I can disable a load balancer, I can disable a service, that kind of thing. We don't really allow too much more than that in terms of the command functionality. It's mostly read-only, simply for security reasons. All right.
And then there's one about the RDP proxy feature on the NetScaler, and
Sure.
if user sessions from that are monitored.
I don't believe so. We look at HDX sessions. That is probably not in there. RDP proxy is part of the gateway. You would be able to look at the gateways and see that. Again, that is an excellent question. That is something that I will have to take back and say, do we do this? And if we do, where does one find it? So yeah, from what I'm familiar with and from what I'm looking at, I don't think so. But yeah, I would have to check.
Okay, all right. And I think, okay, so I think the question was more specifically around VPN user sessions on the ADCs.
As in SSL VPN. So yeah, we do pick up the HDX sessions, but as far as the SSL VPN session, and yes, I'm about to say something that's completely wrong. It's one and the same. No, it's really not. It's still using the gateway though. It's even though it's not an HDX session, you should still have those sessions listed in there. I don't have, since we don't use SSL VPN internally, we use HDX. You should be able to see the sessions in there because we have, where is that here? On the individual ones, current users, yeah, we have 89 current users on there. Those should be counted in there. Yeah, I wonder if it's one of those things that we don't get a lot of demand for and therefore didn't put in. But yeah, I would think that you could be able to see the same thing from the gateways as far as SSL VPN users go.
Cool. Can you reboot a machine through the ControlUp console? Can you reboot a machine through the DDC using the ControlUp console so the MCS gets the fresh image on boot? Okay, I understand that now. Do you get that, Chris?
Yep. So we have the capability right here. As long as we have control over the hypervisor, we have a connection to the hypervisor. We can do basic VM power lifecycle management. So as you have right here, I can do power on, power off, restart, shut down guests, things like that. But in addition, and let me actually hone in on. Let me hone in on this right here. I'll focus on this on Acme right here. We'll go ahead and focus on that. And so this is then from the standpoint of all this. So you see, here's all of my CVAD statistics and things like that. So I can grab this, mine, for example. And once again, I have that VM power management thing right there. I have regular power. So here's this reboot. So you notice I have a couple of different ways of rebooting the machine. So this one right here, I believe, is CVAD. So that's would be this one right here. And then this is vSphere underneath of that. So yeah, there's a bunch of different ways of doing it, provided you have access, provided you have the connection to the EUC system and to the hypervisor, and provided you have permission to do it. And you could do it as a batch as well if you wanted.
Cool. And that's all our questions answered.
All right.
And Chris,
What was the one? There was
IGEL
another one.
demo.
The IGEL demo. Right. Okay. Yeah. We'll do that one real quick. Provided I can get into solve. Let's try this again. Let's see if solve is behaving itself now. Oh, look at that. Maybe.
Did you pray to the gods of demo?
I totally forgot to do my sacrifice. In any case, it depends on the situation where you're using iGels. If they are on premises, they can interface directly with the real-time console. We do it by SSH. So we can look here at our Linux data collectors, and we have basically an SSH key. So I can look at machines and I can search in here. Actually, let me get rid of my focus here so I can see all machines. And I can look specifically for iGel machines, and here's a couple of iGels that are running Ubuntu, one's running Windows and things like that. So we can get that information from those iGel machines like that. So in the case of Windows, pretty straightforward. It's just the regular agent, no big deal. In the case of Linux, it is an SSH connection that is doing that. That's in the real-time console. EdgeDX gives you the capability of having the Edge agent directly on iGel, and then you have direct control over the iGel device based on that same Edge functionality. You can get a look at the file system, the CPU, you can take remote control, all of that good kind of stuff. So Edge is going to give you that better functionality.
Okay, and then one last one that's just come up. Is there an on-prem version of Solve?
Yes. I have to be a little careful with that one. There is an on-prem version of almost everything ControlUp does, but it then falls on the customer to maintain all of that infrastructure. You're then talking databases, you're talking Splunk, you're talking web servers and things like that. There's a lot of infrastructure that is then involved with that, which is why we kind of pull back from that and say, but we can do everything in the cloud. We can keep all of that information up to date. We can keep all those back-end systems. You never have to worry about it. You just get your information. Yes, I understand that there are certain situations where on-premises is a thing and is a requirement, and we do support that. So yes. All right. me give one more click here. Is that going to work? Okay. Yeah, okay. There's an error of some kind. All right. Well, we're gonna have to figure out what is going on back there. It is probably something. I know, Marcel was saying he was messing around with something on our back end. So, that probably went horribly, horribly wrong, as things tend to do sometimes. But so we got to see most of it. So there you go. Anything else
Well,
from
that's
anyone?
how you know it's real.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
All right, I have just one last little slide, which there goes. Yay, it did it. Sometimes GoToWebinar is goofy, but today it worked. Just a reminder, I know some of you may have opted in for a chance to win a Raspberry Pi 4, and I am going to pull the attendee list as soon as we close out this webinar today and pick a random winner with the magic number randomizer from Google. And I will let you know. So be on the lookout for an email from me, or watch us on Twitter, my CUGC, to see who the winner is. And then I just want to thank all of you for attending today and putting in such great questions. There are a lot of questions. That was really good. You never know what you're going to get. Sometimes it's crickets, and Chris was prepared for that. He had his soundtrack.
I mean, I didn't even do, good question. I forgot to do my dings.
I love it. But I want to thank ControlUp. Not only are they a sponsor of CUGC, they're also a sponsor of CUGC Women in Technology, our program, which is a mentoring program for women using Citrix. It's a great, great program. If you have questions, you can definitely find more information on our website. And thank you, Chris. Thank you, Lee. Thanks for being here today. All right, everyone. I hope you all enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll see you again soon. Maybe we'll see some of you in Kansas City, maybe. Either way, hope you all enjoy your day. Thanks a lot. Bye.